I think we're talking about, like, broadly speaking, whether they don't even know how they're going to do this yet. Someone comes in the office, I know from a financial standpoint, and again, like you, to your point, I work with folks who are you know, I work with all kinds of folks in this situation, but generally people who haven't been involved in the finances need a professional to help educate them, to help get the information, to lay it all out, explain it, and make sure that they have an understanding so that they can be on equal footing throughout the process, right? So that's my role. I also work with spouses who say, gee, I want to make sure that my spouse is taken care of. Believe it or not, I still want them to be okay. We still have children together. We still have our family, and I want everyone to be okay. I still love them. I just can't be married to them. But I want to make sure I know what they need. I don't want to overgive, but I also want them to be okay. So in all of those scenarios, someone like myself can help. Mediation is best to do that, right? But even if it's in a litigated situation, I've worked with just one of the parties, whether the moneyed spouse or the non-moneyed spouse, to help talk about those scenarios. First things first, when people come to me, from a financial standpoint, I'm saying you need to start first things first, figure out what your budget is. You need to figure out, if you really want to stay in your marital home, what is it going to cost you to stay there, right? What do you need? If you're not employed or underemployed, we need to talk about, okay, what does the support look like? What does child support and potentially spousal support look like? How is that going to help you? Is that going to be enough to be able to allow you to stay in your marital home? And then we also do the future planning to say, what happens when that support ends? Is this still a financially sustainable plan for you, or are you going to have to make different decisions? And doing the work together to say, okay, now this makes sense, you can do this. However, you might need to think about making some changes in a few years to say, all right, I know that I can be here for X amount of years, but in that fifth year or whatever year time frame it is, I know that I'll have to sell this house and maybe downsize. And that's okay with me because I think I'll be in a different segment of my life by then. So understanding what expenses are, that is number one. Start jotting down expenses, start opening bills. If you've turned a blind eye or let your spouse handle that for all these years, please start asking them. And it may tip them off or it may not, but just start to understand what the expenses are. Figure out what your car payments are. What kind of debt are you in? Run your credit report. Understand what you're tied to with your spouse. Are you on certain credit cards with them that you don't have a card for, but they're certainly using that card? And now I don't want you to be surprised that you figured out that your spouse has racked up $20,000 in credit card bills that you weren't aware of, right? Running your credit report, figuring out your budget, and also just understanding what you own. Oh yeah, I worked at a job 15 years ago and I remember that I had a 401k at Fidelity Investments. I should probably look and find where that is. All of this information, as Carrie mentioned before, is going to be part of discovery. Whether you go the litigated divorce route or whether you're in mediation with me and Carrie, I'm going to be asking for every single document. We trust, but we verify. We're very detailed in our agreements, and we write down actually the last 4 digits of account numbers. I make sure that they're coded the right way. The reason is I want to make sure that everything's done in the most tax efficient, tax effective way. We want to keep things properly categorized. We want to make sure that from a fairness standpoint, what does that look like? Who's paying the taxes on what? Who's going to be responsible for that? These are all the facets that go into that.